Okay, it's the first weekend in July. We're going to take a look at the garden real quick. It's been mid 90s or hundreds the past couple weeks, so the growth has been crazy, phenomenal. It's been hard to work out here because it's so stinking hot, but the plants have loved it. So first thing is, here on the tomato row, I took the peas out there, pulled them all out. They were pretty much done. And then these, once again, are all volunteer tomatoes. And amazingly enough, the volunteer tomatoes are this one here anyway, is the highest, tallest tomato in the garden, even above the other transplants that I bought at the store. So they're pretty thick in here. I did, when I pulled the peas out, thinned them out a little bit. But basically there's still like half a dozen plants in there, which I definitely wouldn't have planted that close, but that's just how they came, so we'll just let them ride and see what happens. But I've clipped them up here using my new clips that I'm trying out this season. It worked pretty nice so far. Really easy to just clip it over instead of using the old little green tie looking, bread tie looking things. A lot quicker and easier. So, and they should be durable and reusable, so hopefully we'll be able to use them again next year and they'll work good. So trying to get all those off because this big guy was laying out completely here, so hopefully be able to stay up on it this year, keep them all up. These guys, so once again, all of these ones were transplanted started from seedlings, except for a couple volunteers here. All of them, the highest one was about 4 inches maybe when I planted them, whenever that was, about a month ago or so, and now they have all, if they survived, they exploded, except for this guy right there. That one right there is, and its brother over there, the only ones that haven't really thrived. This one is, I believe, a black, some sort of cherry tomato. I honestly can't remember which one, but I'm not sure the others, what their types are, but they've all been doing great. And the ones that were big enough, which were most of them, I was able to clip up, so we can get that started right away. This guy here was a volunteer. See how he's out here, and I got to figure out what I could do with him because he's kind of away. Anyway, so those are looking great. These ones over here, once again, if they survived, they pretty much made it. This was a volunteer squash that was coming up over here, so I moved it. It's kind of survived. We'll see. If not, it was a volunteer. But yeah, these are, once again, are huge as well. I've clipped the ones that I can, and we'll wait and see. And I've officially decided to give up on this little weedy grass thing, whatever that stuff is, and I'm just going to use it as a ground cover because it just dominates a lot of the spots here. So rather than continue to fight it all the time, I'm just going to leave it and use it as my ground cover compost type thing, or not compost, I guess mulch. Keep the moisture in and all that stuff, and it doesn't look like it's causing too. If it gets too close, I'll pull it back from the plants, but I'm just going to leave it, I think, for now, because it is very, very effective at doing spreading. So I got 3. So back here in the back is my. So we got bitter melon here, and then just, I guess, all kinds of melons and squashes. So I have 3 bitter melon that have popped up. There's a volunteer melon or squash of some kind, and this is a volunteer tomato that was over there that I just transplanted today. I need to water it and see, if it'll survive. But I only got 3 of the bitter melon, and they've been growing up, so I was able to train them up there a little bit. They should be fine to crawl up here. And this is where I threw some watermelon seeds, volunteer cilantro, some cantaloupe seeds that I started, ones that I got saved from the store, a watermelon start that I started inside. You can see it is a little bit bigger now because it's able to reach the fence and go up, where these ones still can't quite reach the fence. And then here, right there, is where my soaker hose is developed a new leak, so now I have to find the parts and fix that again. One day this irrigation stuff will be done. So then these were butternuts that was a butternut that I started inside. These two were planted directly in the ground, and but they're all the same variety. Probably see a little better here than when we're in there, but the irrigation system I've been working on. So I've got my timer over there, and then there's two headers. One of them comes over and goes to this soaker hose right here, which then tees off and goes to the entire outside perimeter, is what I call it, the boxes on the outside next to the fence, which would work except for this leak. And then the other line goes over, tees off, and then goes through these gray garden hoses to each of the two boxes, or 4 boxes, but the west box and the east box, to those little manifolds that I made. I strapped them down, and then I made a little header for each box, and then the laterals, and you can kind of see where I have finished that one there, but have not yet finished this one here. So you can see, and the nice thing is, from the valves downstream is just dry fit, so there's no glue on it, so I can basically rechange that if whatever I want. So I'm basically making it except for that box, I'm making them all custom to exactly where they are. So next year they wouldn't fit exactly, but it's just drilling a few more holes or covering them up. But basically that's it. It's been really great to get it almost done. I just need to finish it up, and it'll be really, really helpful, because then all I'll have to do is turn the valve on, or actually I guess I won't even have to do that once I get the timer set exactly the way I want it. And basically it'll come on and it shoots water out to each of the little things. So I've got like the row on the end here shoots over to the tomatoes, the one in the middle shoots to both sides to water both things. So anyway, that's been a good experiment, and I'm looking forward to finishing that, and then that'll be done. So once I get those lines finished, and then fix this dang hose, hopefully then we'll have automatic watering. Won't have to worry about coming out here. It's really, really not fun to come out here when it's so hot, but because you have to get up so early or stay up so late. Anyway, here's the east side. We've got these Chinese long beans, or long noodle beans, a couple scarlet runners. So out of all the scarlet runners, it looks like that one's not doing so hot. These two are doing okay. And I did see some flowers yesterday. I don't know where they went. The little red flowers. Anyway, they're there. This is the wow, it's amazing. Those two and this are the same variety. These are the Amish paste that I bought. It's just crazy how this one's that much taller. Anyway, and then these are two that I had, once again, seedlings started, transplanted. All these, like I said, the ones that didn't die in the first week basically have made it. It's quite amazing, except for the Romas that I had started with from my own Save My Seed and started. These have all done, all the starts that I started have done very well, actually. There was one beefsteak that basically couldn't really call a very good one, which didn't make it, but the rest have made it. So, and like I said, getting big enough to be clipped up. And here's that almost mossy looking thing, but I'm just gonna let it ride. So anyway, got lots of tomatoes on the back, definitely more than I thought, so I'll have to make sure to be aggressive in thinning and pruning them. So speaking of tomatoes, I finally was able to get my support system up. It's some modified version of a Florida weave. I don't know, it was kind of hard to do after they were so big. My advice is definitely don't wait until they're that tall before doing them, because it is just too difficult, especially on your own, to try and get the tomatoes up off the ground and do the weave at the same time, or just any kind of stringing up. So, but that's what I've got. I got a lot of Romas. These are 4 Romas that we bought from the store, not the ones that we started from seed, because I don't think a single one of them made it. So lots of them. When I picked them up and I pruned them a bit to kind of semi of a single stem. But the idea here is to keep the plants between these two lines. That way they grow up almost into like a tomato wall instead of hanging down the ground and whatnot. So these have done well. Like I said, they're hard to do when they're that big. This big, they're not really a big problem. This is kind of what you would want to do, ideally. You put your strings up, and then that way when the tomatoes are coming up, you just make sure that they are growing in between there, and that way they'll grow up instead of laying down the ground. And these grew so quick that they kind of got away from me. I just planted 2 rows, or the rest of that box, in corn. So a couple days ago, hopefully we'll see that come up soon. And then we've got the 2 black beauty eggplants, which are looking fantastic. Still, once again, way bigger than those ones for some reason. The sunburst is looking big and delicious. And then our red bell peppers are looking good. And this basil was actually quite a surprise. I don't know if it's because in the shade it was actually underneath this potato plant, but when I pulled it back, it's like huge mango. So this one's like a foot tall, where the other basil over there is maybe 3 inches. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if it had to do with like I said, the shade or being close to potato plant or whatnot. Anyway, that's there. It's cool. So the sunburst does have some, has lots of big flowers there. Some bee, it looks like, down in there working, and there's going to be a good size one. Hopefully that one will become, but there's some little, hopefully, future fruit there. And I went through, speaking of squashes, I didn't find any squash bugs on this one yesterday. I guess we'd seen some here before, but I went through the zucchinis and pulled off about 10 or 12 adult squash bugs, and then tons of eggs and a few nymphs, and pulled them off and killed them. And hopefully that'll really help our squash bug problem that we had last year. It took like forever because those giant leaves, and there are lots of spaces for squash bugs to hide on with all the stem. They're very, very sneaky little people. But the good news is I got a bunch of them. Hopefully I won't have to do that very often because it was not real fun, but I did it. The eggplant are looking pretty good. This one's kind of leaning over for some reason, but they're up here. I do want to lay down, probably because it's so hot. Actually, it wasn't too bad yesterday. We had some overcast and some thunderstorms, or just some light rain. It was nice. Anyway, we do have some fruit forming there. A few of those, which would be very nice. Which is why we just have to keep on the ahead of the squash bug menace. So here we've got pulled the peas out. We've got our beans. These are bush beans, and you can see. There we go. We've got some purple bush beans. And the green ones, for some reason over here, the green ones didn't grow up quite as fast, so they're kind of hanging back. The basils, I think most of them did survive. It's weird, they had a big trauma from going outside, or inside to outside, but now they're recovering. The okras are doing okay here. It's amazing because the ones in the front are just phenomenal. Anyway, cilantro there looks like they've all bolted. The green leafies are getting really big, lots of holes. The kale and stuff, those ones the chard just has tons and tons of the bugs in there, so we'll probably be pruning it back severely and maybe pulling it out. The red peppers are doing okay. Kale's there, chard, radishes, onions, carrots, all ready to go at any time. Our Thai basil is surviving here in the shade. I don't know if that's better for it or not, but that's kind of what's going on with all these big neighbors here. And then some random onions. So anyway, soon I think, let's see, so the main thing we did was to pull the peas out. Now I have to figure out what I want to plant there. Maybe some zucchini, or not zucchini, cucumbers. The cucumbers on the side of the house are doing fantastic, as well as the watermelon there. And come to think of it, it's amazing. The watermelon there was planted from start, just like that one is. But it was planted at the same time, same seedling, transplanted the same day, except it's about 4 feet tall and just got like 8 different headers on it. It's amazing. So anyway, that's why we are fortunate enough to have multiple locations to plant and try different things, experiments, so we can see what works best and use that to our advantage next year. So maybe we'll be planting watermelon on the back side of the house from now on and letting it run, because it is insane crazy. So anyway, we might over the next couple weeks pull out some of these plants, the green leafies, especially the lettuce type stuff, because it's going to probably bolt soon. But yeah, gross bugs. Anyway, so yeah, it's been amazing growth with the squash, with the tomatoes, with pretty much everything. The weather has been great for it. I'm glad they liked it. And so we'll see how everything looks next time. Thank you.